2, 1.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is James Sweeney, aka Splitsuit, and I haven't done a video for my site in a while, so I figure now is as good a time as any to get that done. So just going to be doing 2 tables of 50 no limit rush, and we are playing on a Friday night, and it's around 10:30 Eastern at night. So just gonna start cranking away and see if we can't get a good take out of this, and if we do, we'll release it, and if not, then kind of fuck it. So in position here, have 9s, ended up catching this ace-high board. I think it's pretty floatable, so I'm just gonna go for a half-pot stab. Expect to get floated sometimes. I'm probably gonna fold to a check raise from a guy with that kind of stack. No real reason to get involved in something large there. And for those of you that might not play rush, pretty much it's just very, very quick paced. That's really all there is to it. It's nothing too special past that. In a multi-way spot, I really like to stab these. Just try to pick them up, fight for this pot. Don't really want to get myself into like some sort of weird check call down mode, so I'll just fight for those outright. End up catching up a king with no kicker. I'm going to check here, see if I can induce some sort of second best calling or bluffing later in the pot. Checks to me again, going to fight for 1.9. And catch a pretty raggy board, but definitely floatable, so just go for a little half potter. End up banking an ace, that's always nice. If I had any idea on how this player played, if he were the kind of guy that would definitely stab a shit ton of the time if I checked to him, then I would go for that, but I'd rather just go for the simple bet here and try to set it up for stacks on the riv. Obviously, if he raises, we're going to do the old shove thing. Expect that it's probably set over set in our favor. Whee! Fold there. And we do not get one outed, which is always nice. So. And fold that, and fold that. Sorry. Just, I like to change the table back when I get a deeper stack, just so it's very easy for me to see where I'm deep and where I'm not deep. Okay, just going to go for that. I'm being a little bit slow right now with the quick fold. I'm actually really fucking exhausted, so I apologize if the video's a little bit crappy in that regard. But I'm a little bit tired, so I might be a little slower on the quick fold, but I'm going to try to use the quick fold as quickly as possible. Just get rid of hands that I know I wouldn't normally play. This guy goes for a 3-ball. Congratulations. We'll just fold out there. Fold out there. Because it's a weekend, I'm going to try to be a little bit tighter with my steals, not going to be quite as liberal, especially not from the hijack. I'm just expecting the games are probably going to be playing a little bit on the looser side, so I'm just going to get rid of all these crap hands that I wouldn't normally play. Just because I'm not going to play them anyway, so why the hell be in here? Go up here, roughly 5x. I don't really mind if he limp calls, it's generally a perfectly fine thing for me. End up picking up this, I'm just going to go for a half potter. Fold out the queen 7. Should have quick folded that queen 7. That was my fault. I like to go a little bit larger in that spot for 2 reasons. One is that I either pick it up outright, which is totally fine, or he calls a lot and does a lot of that check folding shit to the c-bet. So I obviously do just fine in the times that he outright folds, and the times that he continues, I generally tend to make a little bit of extra money. Just going to go for the raise there with the ace king. ISO that short stack. Folds, fold, 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 fold. Full ring is so boring. Whee! Just winning pots left and right here. Fold that. And fold that. And don't really have any reason to go for a defend from there, so just, again, get rid of all the shit hands that we don't want to play. And, you know, it's the cool thing about rush is, like, yeah, you have to be a little, I mean, not really. You don't really even have to be that aware of your image. You know, yeah, there are regs in the game, and yeah, they're important to pay attention to, but, you know, in general, you don't have to do a lot of, you know, am I stealing too much? Am I not 3-betting enough? What's going on here? You can just generally kind of say fuck it and not really care as much. I just went for the check behind. Really, really horrific board. I don't really want to get check raised there. I don't think he's ever going to really fold too much, so I'd rather just kind of knock it back, be done with it. Let's go for the small half potter on the turn, try to get some value. My fault. This guy raises, definitely just going to call here. Cool thing about Rush as well is, in certain times there's definitely a shit ton of squeezing and aggro 3-betting, but oftentimes there's not a shit ton of it, which is always nice, which means you can get away with this kind of stuff, because, you know, people will do some squeezing, but generally they're just doing it to do it. Again, they're not really giving a lot of reason for it. So in this situation, I'll just fold out. There's no reason to get involved there. Sorry, for some reason when I'm tired I can't think and talk both at the same time. Apparently it's a difficult skill. And you also notice I'm probably going to be a little bit tighter in my 3-betting. Not going to be doing a lot of unnecessary 3-betting, especially from out of position. That's what a lot of people fuck up when they're playing rushes. They just start doing a shit ton of 3-balling, and a lot of it out of position. And that's just generally not what we want to be doing a lot of. Go for a steal there. End up getting 3-bet here. Just going to fold out. The min raising is becoming a little bit more prevalent, which is okay. Big thing to remember when you're 3-betting a min raise is don't go 3x or 3.5x like you normally might. Generally make it bigger. Just because the reason why that person is... Holy shit. The reason why the person's min raising in the first place is so they can get cheaper. It's cheaper when they 3-bet back too. Okay, so this is just massive. This is really awkward. For half stacks, I'm going to float this out and then be done with it. I don't really want to commit half a stack right here, so you kind of have a spot where you either get in your mindset that you're going to get it in or kind of say fuck it, and I'm just going to say fuck it. I have nothing invested, no real reason. He goes for a double barrel. We'll just assume that he has something. My gut shot isn't really worth shit, being that I'm drawing to a 4 straight board. My set's doing the same exact thing. Just not a lot of value there. Not even a full stack, so I'll just veer away from the 3-bet. And I'll veer away from that, veer away from that, veer away from that, from that, from that. Da-da-da. This is why this game's nice. You can just get so many fucking hands per hour. It's lovely. Okay. Alright, fold that. Okay, so this is one of those spots where we're going to be heads up kind of regardless, but with ace queen I still like to do a lot of the ISO from even out of position. I don't think it's going to be too difficult to play out. And just go for a half potter here. Have nothing wrong if you know, I expect to get floated probably around half the time there, but even still I'm showing a snap profit. Given the size of my c-bet, only needs to work a third. I expect it to work around half. So still doing just fine in that regard. Fold, fold, fold. Sixes were open. And queen 3, gonna fold. Nothing really exciting so far. Not that that's a bad thing. I like those nice, slow, gradual sessions. Maybe you win a buy-in and then just kind of sit around that for the rest of the time. I have a general rule. Whenever I catch a pair in from big blind and shit, I just generally tend to stab it. Generally nothing too wrong with that. Good. It's a little bit different when you catch something that has a little bit more absolute value. Say I had like queen jack and I bink off a queen or jack high board. That's entirely different. But when you have like that kind of hand where half the deck is over cards, not quite half, but you know what I mean, then it's generally a little bit better just to kind of stab outright. That will actually help your blind loss rate significantly. So many people fuck that up. Just kind of let those go away when really those are pots that belong to you. And I'm just going to fold this because I'm not going to try to steal against that stack size. For those of you that didn't see it, fuck, it was clunky as shit. And apparently they're still playing. Okay, so catch a really horrific board. Just going to fire, see if I can't pick it. Get some small pairs to fold, which is nice. Just purely turning my hand into a bluff there. Don't really have shit. Gonna steal the ace-8. Gonna 3-bet him. Fold. And just go up to around 3x. I just like to do a lot of in-position 3-betting, especially in this spot where cutoff opens. I'm on butt. Just a spot where I can generally do a lot of light 3-betting, and I have a blocker, which is always nice. If he calls here, we're just going to play it out nice and straightforward. Go for a steal here. I'm just going to knock this back, have some showdown value. Don't really think he's going to do anything good if I decide to go for some bets. So at this point I'll go for some bets, but alright, fine. 5.9. Let's go for a half potter, try to encourage some second best hands to continue. Gonna call. Jack's ugly. And we have showdown value, so we're just knocked back, see if we can't win it. So end up running 2-pair versus set, sucks to be us. Had an option on the river, could have turned my hand into a bluff if I wanted to, but I just generally don't do a lot of that at this level. Or, I shouldn't say at this level, it's more a rush, I don't do it. Just because I don't know the player at all. You know, I'm risking about a stack right there if I really wanted to go for it, and you know, why do the risk if I really have no concept of what the reward's going to be there? I try to veer away from shit if I don't have a very clear idea of the reward, or if I have to risk too much, especially with uncertain reward, then I'm way less likely to go for it. And rush is one of those. I mean, I can play way straightforward here. I don't have to do a lot of bullshit. You know, I just happen to run kind of shitty, and I mean, no matter what, I'm probably going to lose that same amount of money. I'm generally not going to be creating a pot that's too much more massive than that. I should have quick folded this. 2 shorter stacks over there. Just going to go for the C-bet. Nice little halfer. Again, you notice half pots giving me relatively good success, so no reason not to. 8s are kind of the bottom of my double ISO range here, but still going to go for it. Being in position, definitely not going to be too difficult of a spot. Really couldn't have asked for a better board, so I'm just going to go for his half potter. He either has an ace or a jack and I get paid, or he has nothing and I get nothing. So he calls, so I'm just going to make a bet here to try to set it up for stacks on the riv. I'm going to fold that. Cool. So like I said, set it up for stacks. And we'll fold that, make it think like we have some sort of decision, and we do have a set, so we're bet. Okay, must run into the diamonds part of range. Sets are running pretty good right now. We need more of this in our life. Cool. Love paired boards in these kind of spots. I don't like it when he donks at me. Yeah. How did I not see that happening? Again, with uncertainty, I don't know how he's going to approach the turn. I don't know if he's just a donk and quit, or if he's a double donk, or what's going on here. So, don't really have much of a concept of what's going on here, so I'm just going to default on the fold. Good. Notice I'm being very cognizant of stack sizes and what I'm trying to do, especially in the bigger pots. You know, really trying to make sure that I set it up so I can get stacks in relatively easily. You don't want to forget about that and all of a sudden you're on the river, you're like, oh shit, now I have like 1.5 SPR, I'm not really going to be able to get stacks in. And that kind of sucks. And you don't want to be that guy, because you gap a lot of value in that regard. Well, that's a flop. Half pots. Real quick, small stab. Yeah. Not a good flop at all. I'm really just trying to get him to fold, you know, the bitch pair part of his range. Or, I don't really beat anything there. I'm just strictly trying to get dumb stuff to fold. And again, just go for a big ISO, especially with someone open limps here. It can't really be that strong. And again, I give myself 2 ways to win it. I either win it outright pre, or I pick it up with a C-bet a shit ton of the time. Either way makes me money. And go for the raise. And gonna go for a 3-bet there for value. Gonna go for a C-bet there. Gonna be stacking this off. In a positional pot on a jack-high board. Good. Yeah, bet size there. I mean, it doesn't really need to be exact. Either way, with the SPR, it's pretty stacks are getting in regardless. About 3 SPR with a slight overpair and a positional pot. That's going in. Fold that. So it's just kind of, you know, make bet sizes that allow him to come along with second best hands. That's pretty much all it is. And steal there with the ace-8. Good, we're not getting too much hassle, which is nice. Seems like people are tending to play a little more straightforward and steal pots. Doesn't look to be a lot of aggressive 3-betting or anything, which I really, really like. Ah, shit. Meant to make this 3x. My fault. Excuse me. So that's a fold. Really like the fact that this guy's trying to make a good size 3-bet right in the ballpark that we're looking for. As far as size-wise, might go a pinch larger, 4.5, but he's in the ballpark, which I'm happy to see. And just going to fold that. Okay, and that guy open them from under the gun. Not going to ISO with that. 5 deuce is generally not a great ISO hand. These 3 would go for it. Again, kind of what I mentioned earlier. Like to fight for these in multi-way pots. Not exactly my favorite stack sizes to try to fight against, but you know, I think I'm getting folds at least half the time there, so. Man, I am really, really fucking running good right now. Caught 2 sets. People are folding to C-bets like religiously. Really can't ask for too much. And this is actually part of running good, although most people won't acknowledge this part of it. You know, you can take all the plus EV fucking spots you want, but if you run bad, you know, people are constantly catching pairs, people just aren't folding that much to you. You know, that kind of shit adds up pretty quickly, especially with the whiffed C-bet stuff. Gonna stab that. Again, people don't seem to be 3-betting too much right now, so no reason not to. Good. Fold. Come on, dude. You can squeeze it if you want. Unnecessary, don't need to 3-bet, have no reason, so we fold. Sorry, meant 4-bet. Again, I have no info, I have no real reason to try to aggress that guy, so fuck it. Just give him credit. And we'll just fold that against those shorter stacks behind me. You notice I generally tend not to give too much respect towards the shorter stacks and shit. Pretty standard, but also important to note. And gonna go for a squeeze here. Don't really want to go for a flat call and try to play monkey in the middle in this spot. This guy should be wide enough that I should show profit here, and this guy, I'm putting him at a decision for the rest of his stack, so. And go here to 2.7. And not a good board at all. I don't think he's really going to be folding too much when he calls in this spot. I'm expecting it to be mostly paired up. I'm just going to check here and hope that he tries to get the showdown, giving me a free card. And I don't really think he's going to fold if I go for a check bomb. So, again, this is just one of the things that fucking sucks when you're playing without info is, you know, you can't make the fucking, like, I really want to fucking shove here. But, I don't know if he respects pairs. I don't know if he would have a propensity to be able to fold 8s here. So, just kind of default on the safer, cheaper play. And the squeeze there is just fine. I think he's wide enough. I think the other guy, when he flats there, I don't think he really wants to play for stacks too much, so he should be folding almost always, so perfectly fine. Plus I have some blockers towards the top side stuff, which is always nice. I like blockers. Alright, so now it looks like might be a little bit more amping up going on here. I'm just going to go for the check there, fold there. 2 overcards and a gutty. I'm just going to go for a stab. Half pot should be fine. Fold that. Again, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. When I get free plays from the blinds, I really like to try to stab them with equity. So, see if we can't bink a 7 or a diamond. Top pair was not what we were looking for there. Gonna check that. See if we can't try to get this bad boy to showdown. That's not helping matters any. This guy, check call, check call. Alright, I'll just give him credit for it. Gonna check here. Generally don't like to do a lot of out of position ISOing with bitch aces in uncertainty. If I know who this guy is, then obviously I can, if I know he's going to fold his c-bet a lot, if I know he has a high limp fold percentage, that kind of shit, then obviously I'll do it, but unknown, no reason to put myself in a bloat pot like that. So this is the same guy from the hand before that didn't fold when I squeezed, called in position. Whee! Fold. Steal the king 9 if we get the chance to. Gonna fold that. Yeah, I should really be. I probably should have seen an extra 30 or 40 hands this session, given how slow and quick folding. Good. Yeah. Game seems to be getting a pinch more aggressive, so I'll start simmering up a little bit as far as my cutoff steals. This is pretty much all I'm doing in this game, is just kind of trying to feel out how the game's flowing. If it's being really aggressive, then I try to tighten up. If the game seems really tight like it was when we first started, I try to steal everything. Just kind of, you know, taking what the game gives you. I think I talked about that in one of my podcasts. You know, this poker is effectively a wave, and all you can try to do is stay on top of that, maybe slightly in front of that wave. You don't run at the wave full speed and throw your surfboard at it, because that's just retarded. You know, you just kind of float it out and kind of see how it flows. With depth, with, not great relative position. Meh, or get jumpy. This would normally be a very, very quick fold for me. In fact, normally I would have quick folded that. Alright, gonna go for a stab here, half pot, try to encourage second best hands to continue. Fold that, and gonna bet this off for small as well. And we're gonna fold that. And we're just trying to get calls from things like jacks, queens, you know, 10 jack type stuff. Don't really want to get involved in anything that large, so nice and easy. That guy definitely should have been c-betting that flop in a multi-way pot, but what are you gonna do? And that's again one of the big reasons why you don't splash around with shit like that. I was just doing it because we had some depth and I was bored. Trying to get something going in this video. Fold. Could have ISO'd that, but again, no real reason. Fold. Be tight, be tight, be tight. Play straightforward, play straightforward. Ace king, we're 3-bet this. Get it in against either of those guys. Fold. Don't shove. Don't shove, because then it's paired and then I have to suck out. That's an interesting one. And go for a depolarized 3-bet in position here with these jacks. You know, if he folds, it's fine. If he calls, it's pretty easy to play out. End up getting shoved on by this guy. Meh. Not getting 2-1. Kind of a gross spot. Like really gross spot. Ugh. Yeah, it's a little bit on the loose side. Getting close to 2-1. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, cool. Maybe we can win a coin flip. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah, it's just because I was getting close to 2-1, and he doesn't have a full stack, and it's the weekends. So, of course, had you given me one one hand later on and get to see him over here with this stack size, then I definitely would have snapped it, but what are you going to do? Man, we are running good as shit today. No complaints. Fold that. Alright, so maybe we'll play for like another 5 or 6 minutes. Like I said, I'm fucking exhausted. I've just been meaning to get a video up for quite some time, so I figured, while I wasn't completely passed out, that I would take this opportunity to do so. Okay. A lot of people have a tendency to do a lot of ISOing here, especially with things like threes, baby pairs, and shit like that. I have a tendency to veer away from that, mostly because I'm in position. When I'm ISOing against those guys, I like to have someone that's either going to be able to catch absolute value, or doesn't have to do a whole shit ton of improving to win. So things like threes don't really have that. I mean, yeah, if you snap your set, you're good, but you're going to be missing around 90% of the time. A little bit more if you run bad. So it's kind of one of those situations where all you're doing is putting yourself into a spot where you're giving your opponent kind of a 5-card coin flip, rather than a good spot where you can really raise, steal, that kind of shit. Threes here, just going to fold this out. Sorry, again, I can't click and type, right? Or click and speak at the same time right now. And this man is getting 3-bet. Let's see, if we go up to 6, he calls. That puts 12 in the middle, 12 back. So let's go up to 6.3. I just like to make it easy so I can shove and not really have any issues against this guy. Obviously, if he shoves, we're snapping. Now, you want to be careful doing that kind of stuff against full stacks or people that can actually read it, but, how often do you have to do sizing like that against full stacks? Like, never. Like, in your 4-bet sizing, you will occasionally, but, against those guys, people with these stupid-ass stacks, you can play extremely straightforward against them, and it's really not a big issue at all. Good. We are having some fun. So sadly, not a ton of difficult spots, but by the same token, a lot of good spots, in my opinion, to chit-chat about, especially the multi-way c-betting. This is the thing about live play, and I hate live play videos. I don't like making them. I don't like watching them. In my opinion, there's just so much more to be done with, like, pure, focused, subject-type videos. But regardless, now, a lot of this video may have looked pretty fucking boring. Yeah, I ran kind of good in quite a few spots, but I got to talk a little bit about the boards I was c-betting on, size I was using. I noticed how I was changing my sizing and plans pre-flop, that kind of shit. So stuff that's actually really, really important to everybody's games. And just fold that. Because that's actually where a lot of people fuck up. They make c-bet sizes that are way too big or way too small, or even worse, without reason. Not really thinking through their decisions all that much. I really don't like this spot, like, at all. I'm still going to take it, but, this is pretty much bottom of my triple ISO range. Again, this is that any 2 Broadway cards, bigger pairs type stuff when I'm doing ISO shit. I'm going to go for a half potter here and absolute ace-high board, which is always nice. Get 2 callers, kind of hating life. Just going to go for a half potter here, see if I can't try to pick this up. End up getting raised on, have nothing, so just go for the folds. Whee! Again, 2 very quick checks to me on that flop. I'm just kind of thinking, okay, am I getting folds at least, half, even just 40% of the time? If I am, I'll take it. In that spot, I'll take it. Go for the fold there. Good. And you also noticed I didn't even have to bet half pot there. I think I bet a little bit under. Just because, again, when you're playing against players that don't give a shit, just bet so fucking straightforward. Excuse me, like even the ace-jack hand earlier, like you noticed I made that retardedly small. Dude's ISOing, I fooled you. Dude's ISOing this guy overs. I can go for a 3-ball as a squeeze, or I can just default on folds here. because I want to be aggressive or just go for a squeeze, but not really fist pumping this. Especially if he happens to be one of those guys that like calls this a shit ton, and then you get the rain of callers, then you have to play that like million way pot out of position, which is just gonna suck so much. And obviously this is the exact kind of hand we want to be doing this. We have the blocker value, we have some suitedness, we have an ace, pretty much have like everything we would want in this situation. Fold that. Holy shit, I had an aggressive play on video actually win. That never happens. And just gonna fold that out. Cool, so yeah, let's play for, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll wrap it. Chit-chat a little bit about the stuff we saw. Fold that. Steal with that 310 if we get the shot too. And you notice I'm just constantly clicking back and forth. I'm just trying to figure out which table I can push quick fold on the fastest. When you're playing, most I've done rush is 8 tabling, and I did that for 1 session, and it's really, really fucking quick. You're seeing over 2,000 hands per hour, which is awesome, but you just kind of get really, really good at just zooming around, knowing exactly where you're going to quick fold and that kind of stuff. And you get better with it in time. And for those of you that play on stars and don't really give a flying shit about rush, I appreciate you hanging in here for this. Even though I didn't play with a HUD, which would have changed things a little bit, although I don't have massive samples on most of these people. The cool thing about rush is just like playing a bunch of unknowns with mild information on them, because you get to see how the general player pool is reacting, and so every player is effectively an unknown to an extent with some amount of info based on how the general player pool is playing. So if the player pool is playing really aggressive, you can say he's unknown, but everyone seems to be aggro right now. But you can also tell based on like what they're doing pre-flop. Like, say you get a guy that you see limps, or open limps, then that's someone that's probably going to be a little bit more of a passive fuck. So can generally assume that even if the games are playing aggro and he's open limping, he's probably not a very aggressive individual, at least not pre-flop. And you also start picking out the regs pretty quickly. I'm constantly trying to zoom my eyes around the tables, trying to figure out who's who, see if I recognize somebody, that kind of stuff. And it always helps because you do it really well. You do it quickly when you get in a hand of someone or tangle with someone, especially once or twice. But we've seen this guy quite a bit. He's getting stolen on if we get the chance. This guy is as well. Maybe wondering why I use the bigger raise size as far as my small blinds open, or my small blind steal. I do that for a couple different reasons. One is I kind of want to deter this guy from always continuing, because a lot of people will. Kind of defend that pretty liberally, getting a really good price when you open 3x or 2.5x. So you kind of get that going for you, which is good, and also the fact that you win more when they call pre and then fold to the c-bet. So you have to risk a pinch more overall in the play. You risk about an extra 1.5 to 2 big blinds, which is okay. I'm okay with that. Given the way that, if the game is getting really, really floaty, both pre and post, then I'm pretty much just going to simmer my small blind steals and just do it on a player-specific basis, if that makes sense. Queen 6, pick up no equity. We're just done here. Cool. And pick up some more equity. So if he checks, we're stab. Bet 80. Fold that on the gun. Fold that. Now, this is always the one that sucks when he check calls here. Because then I always want to like triple the dub the riv, but it's always a brick, and it's always meh, fine, fuck it, and just give up type spot. Good. Okay. Oh damn it! I didn't want to have to play a big blind out. Okay. So we'll play this out and just see what happens. Excuse me. Sorry about the cough. It's a little bit dry down here. Come on. Give it to me for free. Let me win it. You bitch. Fine. Cool. So hopefully you enjoy the video. It was about 34 minutes of playing, so a lot of stuff to chit chat about that came in this video is definitely the c-betting stuff. Notice how aggressive we were c-betting, and also which boards we were laying off on, especially those really shitty no Broadway card boards. Like we had Ace King on the 856 board, I think it was. Or 865. I think it was 865, yeah. So you notice that. Also notice the sizing, using a lot of half potting. Pre-flop was pretty standard. Nothing really too special. I got a little aggressive with that queen jack. Like I said, I still think it's a good spot, so I'm okay with that. Ace queen, you can default on folding there. Folding there is fine as a default, but it's also a really great spot to squeeze. Obviously, I would prefer to have info, especially on the open raiser. The through caller I'm not really too worried about in that situation, but the open raiser especially, if I know that he's going to fold enough of the time, then I'm pretty likely to go for a squeeze pretty aggressively there. So, in the rest of the spots, like I said, I did run pretty good in this video. For some odd reason, I tend to run fairly well in the videos I do for my site. So, and running well in that I hit 2 sets, but also the fact that, like I said, a lot of c-bets were working, more so than I would have expected to. When you're